As I learn more about prompt engineering, I am amazed by how similar AI is to our human brains. It makes sense that an artificial intelligence would be similar to a natural intelligence. So the premise of prompt engineering is about guiding an AI to provide higher quality results. But I see it more broadly as about designing a specific approach for using a tool. Now, prompt engineering could be the difference between basic production and true productivity. I think the basis of prompt engineering also extends into our minds. So this could be the difference between being prompted to take this thing and build a house with it, versus, here, use this laser leveler, square off the foundation, lay concrete, and so forth. And it could be hard to execute on ambiguity. Nowadays, we're expected to just know ourselves, but without any kind of prompting. This is entirely ambiguous as well. Now, I would think that self-discovery should be as simple as looking in a mirror and describing what is seen. And this is also the first step toward anything worthwhile in life, is knowing thyself. Well, I know it was near impossible for me to ever create any goals for myself without first having a clear idea of who I am. So, I started sharing my ideas in hopes that I'll discover how I can resonate with the world around me. Let me tell you a little story. Growing up in the age of the internet, I've been exposed to enough people that have made it on their own and succeeded with following their dreams. I've grown up acknowledging just how precious time is, and I never wanted to waste my life working a job that I hate. I was always afraid of getting stuck in a rigid path, of getting bored with my way of life and opting to throw all that away for some fun. So I wanted to be sure of a perfect career path before ever starting on one. And it's been over a decade and I still haven't found the one. But what I have found is that I could just create my own path. And all signs of how to do this point toward knowing myself. So it should be pretty simple, I would figure, like looking at myself in the mirror and describing what I see. But I can't actually look directly at myself in this case. The idea of myself is a complex concept based on my beliefs, perceptions, attitudes, and emotions. I've heard that life is about the journey, not the destination, plenty of times before it actually finally clicked for me. The idea of myself changes over time, depending on what I'm doing. What I value most in a moment depends entirely on the context of it. So if I look at myself in one way, I'll see myself differently than how I see myself in another. So I never wanted to declare myself as simply just one thing and decide this is my path, because I thought I would have to sacrifice all the other parts of myself that don't follow this one thing. So I was afraid of making the wrong choice, and I ended up wasting so much time with indecision. That was probably the worst choice I could have ever made. Well, what I realize now is that core values are like strategies. My values are prompts for how I approach different situations. But this brings me to a chaotic loop. If what I do with my life relies on my core values, but my core values rely on what I'm doing with my life, then what has to give here? I think it's my comfort zone. Putting myself out there is the only way I could see how I would ever truly respond. And at first, I'm probably gonna suck at being myself. But the only way to get good is to first recognize what bad could look like. So to do that, I have to try on different values to see which ones actually work with me. So for example, I might value kindness over pride because of how being nice to people can feel. But then I have to discover a balance, because sometimes people could take advantage of kindness, and I have to be proud enough to actually draw some boundaries. If I involve failing as part of my winning process, then I can eventually come to understand my values or prompts that actually work for me. So by using prompt engineering to practice mindfulness, I can guide myself to live a higher quality life. I can engineer my personality and truly become the man of my dreams. So what kinds of prompts have you been thinking about? How would you choose to live a better life? Let's talk about it in the comments. Cheers.